drop to the break of dawn. Never gonna stop till I see the light. I'm feeling high, my little lady. I'm gonna take it to the upside. You know I used to smoke too much. You know I used to drink too much. Take a ride in my car. You can get me high, high, high. You know I used to smoke too much. And you know I used to drink too much. Take a ride in my car. We're gonna get real. I'm feeling good, my little lady. She's gonna take me to the other side. I'm feeling nice, my little lady. She's gonna keep me moving on. I'm gonna run till I drop to the break of dawn. Never gonna stop, she's gonna treat me right. I'm feeling good, my little lady. She's gonna take me to the other side. You know I used to smoke too much. And you know I used to drink too much. Take a ride in my car, and you can get me high, high, high. You know I used to smoke too much. And you know I used to drink too much. Take a ride in my car, and we're gonna get real. Come on, baby. Let's take a ride. I don't know where we're gonna go, but first, let's dance. You know I used to smoke too much. And you know I used to drink too much. Take a ride in my car, and you can get me high, high, high. You know I used to smoke too much. And you know I used to drink too much. Take a ride in my car, and we're gonna get real. Oh.
Hi everyone, Dan here, and I just wanted to put a little snippet about Astroworld and what we do because I want to start getting the word out because I think it's becoming more and more of a giant community, and I want to get the word out to some other people. So what we do at Astroworld is we hold astrophotography chats on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. and Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And we just talk astrophotography. Wednesday's more of a techie kind of advanced and intermediate, and Fridays is more of a newbie kind of thing. So if you want to check us out, and if you want to, hang out with some semi-decent people that like to go off the rails a little bit and have fun while they're doing it, come check us out at astroworldweb.com, and you can check out the schedule, and you can sign up for all the free giveaways that we do. We just gave away an Eagle 4 Pro, an Optilong filter kit, Charles Brackenstein's books, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So come to astroworldweb.com, hang out with us, have a good time, and as always, remember to keep imaging, keep educating, and clear skies. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Things are becoming intense. I rip my jeans on your fence, hiding away from your man. Oh, it's a passion. Oh, tell a tale of 1,000 lonely days. Yeah, she's a real thing. Yeah, only I can make a change. If you want to be too.
get me caught in the rain, standing here calling your name. Guess I got no one to blame. Yeah, it's a small town. Yeah, all the people turn and stare. Oh, it's a secret. Hey, let them see me. I don't care if you want to be together. It's so good to be together with you. If you want to be together. If you want to be together, it's so good to be together with you. If you want to be together, say you want to be together. I'm feeling really guilty, but it feels so bad. Yeah, so good to be together. Get together. We did it before, we can do it again. I'm tearing out my hair, 'cause I don't know when so good. You want to be together. Yeah. It's so good to be together. Yeah, so damn good. If you want to be together, it's so good, it's so good, yeah. What the hell's wrong with my telescope now? Yeah, what's wrong with this thing?
The lost Lone Ranger, can I break this spell? Do one thing right, do I make you two things wrong? If I want to satisfy the line, do I will always take the fall? If I just do the left, I can live from the right. I sleep all day long, and then I'm breathing through the night.
I wonder what it was that made me want you. She couldn't understand what made me hard. She's climbing in and out my open window. I'm laying here alone and cold and drained. Yeah. So take another breath and come up for your oxygen. And now you wanna kiss the flesh and blood of every man, every man. And when the moon is full and the wolves will howl, just swam across the world is dark and tangled. I never saw her turn her head in shame. She's standing out the open window. I'm lying here alone, cold and gray. So take another breath and come up for your oxygen. Hey, you know you wanna kiss the flesh and blood of every man, every man. Well, we all took turns and you swallowed the world. I never realized till you sat with us, man. And she said, I want more. Give me more disgusting stuff. A little bit of disgusting stuff. Disgusting stuff. Oh, you're making me disgusting stuff. A little bit of disgusting stuff. Give me more disgusting stuff. Yeah, a little bit of disgusting stuff.
Hi everyone, Dan here, and I just wanted to put a little snippet about Astroworld and what we do because I want to start getting the word out because I think it's becoming more and more of a giant community, and I want to get the word out to some other people. So what we do at Astroworld is we hold astrophotography chats on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. and Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And we just talk astrophotography. Wednesday's more of a techie kind of advanced intermediate, and Fridays is more of a newbie kind of thing. So if you want to check us out, and if you want to, hang out with some semi-decent people that like to go off the rails a little bit and have fun while they're doing it, come check us out at astroworldweb.com, and you can check out the schedule, and you can sign up for all the free giveaways that we do. We just gave away an Eagle 4 Pro, an Optilong filter kit, Charles Brackenstein's books, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So come to astroworldweb.com, hang out with us, have a good time, and as always, remember to keep imaging, keep educating, and clear skies. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. What the hell's wrong with my telescope now? Damn, what's wrong with this thing?
The lost Lone Ranger, can I break this spell? Do one thing right, do I make you two things wrong? If I want that fine line, do I will always take the fall? If I just do left, watch you leave from the right. I sleep all day long, and then I'm dreaming through the night.
I'm feeling high, my little lady. I'm gonna take it to the other side. I'm feeling strong, my little lady. I'm gonna keep her moving.
All right, how's it going, everybody? We are live tonight, and it is another Wednesday night, so it's Astroworld TV night. So tonight we got one new face and one, four old faces, I guess. So
Wow.
we have.
Wow, really?
Wow, that's
Hey,
awesome. Thanks, Dan.
I could have said what I
you-
usually say,
you pat that
semi-decent
bouncer right out
people,
the
but
It's gonna be that kind of I'm show. just an old
oh
face.
yeah, it's very laid back, and it's very very just kind of whatever goes, and you never know. But so we got Steve from Entering into Space
Hey, guys.
tonight, and we all know Sean and Eric and Pete. But tonight we're going to talk with Steve about what he does on his YouTube channel, entering into space, and see what he's got coming up in the works. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And if you missed it, go check out the last podcast, the number 8, and that was with well, both of you, Sean and Steve. So really cool conversation. I didn't catch the whole thing yet, but I'll definitely watch the rest of it probably when I wake up tomorrow. So awesome. So let's do the sponsors real quick, because we do have to say thank you to the sponsors, because we're giving away a whole. Steve, I don't know if you know, we give out a whole bunch of stuff for free, and we got some sponsors. And cool. I did put one new one up there, and I promised for weeks to be up there, and we'll announce that in a little bit. But and let me just, I didn't change this real quick, but the sponsors, so everybody knows that. For those of you that are new to the show, let me just make this real quick on let me make a change here, because let's see, Peter, Jesse, let's do, sorry about this, guest, there we go. And then 62 is Sean, and and Sean's on by himself now. We'll just make him smaller. And there you go. And we'll just put you on. We'll put you on that side over there. There you
throw
go.
me over there.
There you go. We're gonna put baby in a corner. So
at least I'm on there.
All right, so we do give away a lot of stuff, and we couldn't do it without the sponsors that we have. So we got to say thank you to them. So at our main sequence level, we have Woodland Hills Camera and Telescopes, who gives us $50 gift certificate. And maybe I should move you up a little bit, Sean. So now we'll put you really in the corner here. We'll do one of these. And all right, there you go.
Boot me off the show.
There you go.
Wow.
You know,
Easy,
we'll just.
Sean.
You know what? You can just knock me off, right? Everybody's seen me. You can just put Sean over there. I don't care.
That's right. It's going to be too much. But anyway.
So, top of Eric.
Oh, God. It's going to be, it is going to be one of those nights. So, so Woodland Hills, $50 a month we give away. So, and we're going to give away a big one at the end of the year, a $250 gift certificate to Woodland Hills. So I got to say thank you to the group over there. You guys already saw, and girls, Prima Luce, Camera Concepts, and Optolong. Prima Luce has been a great sponsor of the show, helped us a lot out at NEAF. Camera Concepts, we also give out $50 gift certificates to them. And Optolong, we just gave away an L Extreme and a couple of, and an L Ultimate at NEAF. We gave those away this year. So thank you to Optolong. At our Supergiant level, Masters of PixInsight and IP4AP have been a wonderful sponsor to the show. At the Supergiant level, we give away Masters of PixInsight workshops once a week on Fridays. So and once a month we give away an IP4AP yearly subscription. So thank you to the guys over Masters of PixInsight and IP4AP for that. We have our member sponsors, and I still didn't put the new Off the Rails member on there. I apologize about that. I believe we have 4 now, believe it or not. I never thought we'd have 1. Sean was the first one. So thank you to Sean since you're here, and to Bob. So thank you for them. John Hassan, I think Chris was the one that upgraded again. No, John G did. John G upgraded. So thank you to John. Black Hole members, all these people. So if you see the little P, that means you're a Patreon member. So thank you for joining us on Patreon. And I would kind of push it for all of you guys that are YouTube members. Go on Patreon, you get better perks. So definitely move on over there. Red Giant members. We got a lot of members now. It's amazing right now. It's incredible. So thank you to everybody. Coming July 29th, and you see it going across the screen right now. We have Helena Cochran coming on from Helena's Astrophotography. That's something that I've been trying to get going for a while, and it's finally happening. also, and this is news for everybody here, I just booked the who is it? The Dark Dragon guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
You
just
did?
booked them the astronomy, the moving
Dark
shed
Dragon
kind of thing.
from
Yeah,
Leaf.
Dark Dragon. Yeah. They texted me today. They really want to be in the show, and they said, "How about the next new moon? We could give you a run through of everything, weather permitting." I said, "Yeah, that's great. Next new moon, I'll be in Nebraska Star Party." So not going to happen for that one, but we're gonna get him. It's good. He wanted to be on this Friday, but I was like, "Nah, we can't set it up that soon." But and if you're so inclined, and if you're new to the show, feel free to join us on all the other social media platforms, Twitter, Twitch. We have a great Discord channel with a lot of people on there that help out. If you really good source of information, and plus Instagram and I think I said YouTube. But thank you so much for listening to me rant for a little bit.
Yeah, you go ahead and rant. Now it's my turn.
Oh, you get the rant now. There you
I'm
go.
about to get on some. I'm about to get on some people, and they know who they are. I mean, let me tell y'all something. Love y'all, appreciate it. But you know what? If you like what we're doing, we've got Sean, we've got Steve, you got me, you got Dan, you got Pete. If you like what we're doing, and and you like what the content we're bringing to you, do us a huge favor. I ask of this to you guys all the time. Give us a like give us a thumbs up if you're on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, share, down there in the left, share to public. Sharing is caring, and we really appreciate that. We give away all this cool free stuff, and all we ask of you guys is just a simple thumbs up or a like, and we would really appreciate that. It really helps us out, the algorithm and all of that other fun stuff, for everybody who's interested in natural photography. We really appreciate that. So I so far I saw 13 out of 25.
18.
I want to see
18.
Oh, now it's 18. Come on now.
18.
Y'all got to come on now. Bring it up.
There's 7 slackers out there. And
And guess what? I bet you're probably one. You're probably one.
it's everybody who's on the show didn't hit the.
No, because
I hit the
thumbs
thumbs down. So
There you
See,
go.
there you go. See, there it is. It's always Sean. So it's all good.
always me.
It's all good.
Well, before we get to brass tacks, I did what I promised. If you go to the website astroweb.com, and if you're new to the show, you could go there and get all the giveaways and sign up for the giveaways. But the $50 gift certificate to Astroworld telescopes is on there. So the retail store is up there. We're going to be giving away a $50 gift certificate once a month to some lucky winner. So make sure that you go sign up for that giveaway, because if you sign up for one, doesn't mean you sign up for all, but make sure you sign up for each individual one. And that's it. And now, with that being said, let's say hi to Steve. And Steve, how's it going, man? What's happening? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I wish I would have got on here sooner. So I'm feeling a little bit of remiss about it, but I'm here and I'm going to support you guys. So this is exciting. Yeah.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All of us know your channel. We've watched your videos. I believe we're all subscribers here. And if you haven't subscribed to him, it's Entering Into Space. Go subscribe to his channel. He better have 28 new subscribers today in the next hour. So,
so I never heard of him before myself. I'm not even a subscriber. I don't think. I think I unsubscribed actually.
Man, is this like Hollywood Squares? I get to look down at you and
exactly.
I'm gonna look up at Eric right now.
We're gonna. You know what? Sean's misbehaving. Go ahead, put him back on the side. Go ahead.
Where's the corner? Yeah.
Steve, I mean, seriously, for anybody who hasn't heard of you or seen you on YouTube, why don't you give us a little bit of a intro of entering into space and yourself and and your ventures into the hobby?
Yeah. Honestly, YouTube came about because obviously it's an amazing resource. I would not be where I'm at without it. And then I did watch the movie Pay It Forward, with Haley Joel Osment and all that stuff.
Yep.
And I really got something from that. No, it really, YouTube started with me out of sheer frustration because I am a visual learner and visual audio. I need to see those videos, and I was using it for other resources. And then when I got into this hobby, quickly I realized, man, there is a lot to learn. And then once I started to feel confident in what I was doing, whether it be image capturing or processing, I thought, I can do this. And that's kind of what I've tell people. I've interviewed, they say, well, you bring something that I don't have. And I go, we're all in this together. And I may say it a certain way that somebody just doesn't resonate with, but then I can say it and capture a whole nother group of people. So I really feel like all of us doing this, benefits everybody out there, because, we're not all going to connect with every person out there, but that's why we all have our groups. So that was kind of it. I was on YouTube going, just slow down. Would you stop talking? Get to the point, and I thought, well, I can do this. And that's kind of how it started out. Started out with a processing video, and then I got a couple followers, and then it just snowballed from there. And you get into buying lights and cameras and worrying about what you're saying and what you look like. And, I asked Glenn from AstroGear, I said, do you worry about what you look like? He goes, bloody hell. You see my last video? He's like, I was wearing painter's pants. And so, it's funny too. The comments I get, people are like, do you own a string trimmer? Do you own a mower? I'm like, bro, this is renter's grass. So yeah. So that's kind of where it evolved to. And man, I tell you, the comments that I get, especially like when people tell me, I just watched a processing video and now I want to go back and redo everything. Like, that is badass. I hope I can say badass because I'm just going to say it.
Oh, yeah.
It's really cool.
There's no beeper delay. It's okay. I'll have to submit a rating change for this one, but I mean,
yeah. When I first put the video, if you click no, it is not for kids, then nobody can comment on your video. And that's weird. I feel really weird clicking that button every time I do that. But, like, a kid could watch this, but you just can't comment when you do that. So you got to learn that the hard way. But yeah, that's really
and
what
how
it
long
is.
How long have you been doing
actually, I got a Meade LX50 in 98, and I knew nothing about focal ratio. I knew nothing about focal length. What are those things, like 2,000 millimeters at f10?
Yep.
I got gifted some money. I was into the hobby. I bought that thing and a camera, and I would take pictures and then take them to Eckerd Drugs and wait a week to realize I just got garbage. But I got like 1 star and I was hooked,
Yep.
And I did a lot of observing. And in about November of 17, I thought, you know what, I want to buy another telescope. And I bought a Celestron LX50 with the CG4 mount. And I got out there and I figured out, it didn't have the polar scope. I figured out how to polar align it, YouTube, and slewed it over to the only thing that I knew. I thought, well, there's nothing in the sky except for stars and Orion. That's it. There's nothing else out there. I mean, that was that green, And I swung it to Orion, and I kid you not, I would turn the RA knob and hold my breath and hit the phone button and take a picture. And 5 seconds of holding your breath constantly, and then it'd be blurry, and I'd start over again. And that's what I started doing. I went, there's got to be a better way to do this. Somebody else has to have some advice on how to do this better. And oh my God, was there ever?
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
so that was my first scope.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said at the beginning of the show, we are all in this together, and that's one of the premises we have about this show as well, on how we kind of, we learn just as much from the chat and the people talking, and in the chat every night, as well as, I mean, we sat there and what did we do last week? What did we troubleshoot last week? We were troubleshooting somebody's guiding or something. We were just
I know we were talking about guiding. We were also figuring out things on PixInsight as far as where within the image.
It was the readout mode. Somebody had a problem with the readout mode. And they're like, we couldn't get the global options were messed up, so he had to click on whatever it was. But it's like he couldn't get the readout numbers of the of all the pixels.
Yeah. Oh
so,
yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
just walk through that. It took us about 10 minutes to do it. And he said, okay, good. Now he knows how to do it. So
Yeah.
But I totally agree with you. I think all of us have taken the red pill, like in the Matrix. We all took
Oh,
the
yeah.
red pill.
Yeah.
We've all gone
Yeah,
down
for
the
sure.
rabbit hole.
oh, I forgot
Yeah.
what the difference between the red and the blue was. I don't even know.
The red is when
Yeah, I
the,
can't
the
remember.
red is when you go down the rabbit hole. The red's
I've taken so many
Yeah.
pills. I mean, the
Oh,
color
right.
doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
I took the whole bottle. So.
yeah.
That
They're like-
explains
I
a
was like,
lot.
really?
Sean.
These taste like
Yeah, I
Flintstones.
know, I know.
Let's go on.
They're not
yeah.
chewables.
And I don't know about you guys, but I swear, and it's so ridiculous when I think about it now, but everything that I've bought, I went, this is it. I don't need to buy anything else. I am totally set. I got out of this hobby cheap, man. And then I'm like, oh, but yeah, I need this one more thing.
Oh
And
yeah.
I need this one more thing. The spending never ends.
No,
Trust me.
it
always
never
one more
does.
thing.
I mean,
My wife gives me a $50 budget.
A $50 budget. So you get like cable
$50
ties.
Yeah.
Your cable
Money.
management must be amazing.
She says, all right, you can only spend $50 on this or $50 on that. Or
Yeah,
actually, I
here's-
tell her that's how much I spend. I just tell her I spend $50 on that.
Yeah.
here's my $50 budget.
Yeah, you're like, really?
Oh,
Honey,
wow.
look.
Oh,
Look,
wow.
how much was that? $50. That was it. Really?
I got it on sale.
Really? Hey, honey, look what I got. He's like, how much was that? $50.
This was $75. I'm telling you right now. This is $75.
$75. Yeah. Shipping.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well,
Done.
I tell you, I am very fortunate because, I have a very supportive girlfriend who tells me shop, spend, and it's not good. And the other day I came out of the room and she goes, hey, it's Father's Day. And I went, yeah. And she goes, you need a new mount. And I went, I have an EQR6 and an Atlas 5 sitting over doing nothing. So now I have a CEM70.
There you go.
That's what happens.
That's all right.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, I did the same thing. I sat there and I bought a new mount.
Give you Robin's number so your girlfriend can call her.
Yeah.
And they can start having a chat.
So you could raise that limit a little bit,
She's
Yeah,
she's
I can
on
raise
Astro OnlyFans.
Astro
There
only.
it is.
Yeah. I'll give out her number later. Yeah, she's been very supportive. She's like, you only live once, YOLO, and all that good stuff, and spend it and buy it and get it because it's something you're passionate about. And and I've had that conversation like with Sean and some of the other guys that I've interviewed on my podcast. It's like, how do you get back those early days of the holy crap feeling of wow, I just got this? Or if you've done star hopping like I had to do and you finally found a galaxy and it's in the upper left hand corner where you guys put Sean a minute ago, but you didn't care because you were going to fire away at that thing anyway. Those days of just pure mosquito bitten excitement. Like, how do you get that back? And really, like Sean was saying, it's new gear, maybe some new processing techniques, but it's new gear and seeing what new gear can do and technology can do to data that you've shot 100 times. But I'm going through that now with the ASI 2600 I just got.
Yep.
Blown away. Absolutely blown away.
Oh, that's a great camera. I actually and who is it? Bob. Bob, you know who you are, Bob. Your 2600. I still have it since last Cherry Springs. Now Cherry Springs is coming up again. So Bob, if you're listening, you're a member, you're on the show. I haven't seen you in a while, but if you're looking for your 2600, it's in my closet over here.
Oh boy. Who was missing one of those?
Well, what happened was that there was a fire at the telescope store that I used to work at, Camera Concepts. And his camera was in the back of the store. Nothing happened to the camera. It was fine. But I said, he let me borrow it for Cherry Springs, and I returned it in like September. I threw it up on the shelf. I said, Bob, it's there. Just come and grab it when you're around. And he never came. And April, we had the fire. And so his camera was back there. So I said, you know what? I texted him. I said, Bob, I'm taking your camera home with me so it doesn't get lost. Whenever you want it, I know where you live. He lives 10 minutes away from me.
It's not like a threat.
I'm holding it
I
hostage.
know where you live.
I know where you live. If you want to see this camera again, you better come
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, so
Wow.
so now it's going on my AstroGear FRA 400 until 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 he gets it back. So I may end up buying it for. I may just send him a check. So.
Send him a coupon.
There you go.
I'll send him a
you.
$50 coupon.
Yeah.
$50 coupon.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're using the ASI Air, which cameras you're one shot or are you mono?
I went from DSLR. I was DSLR probably way longer. Not as long as Trevor Jones was using a hand controller, but I was using a DSLR for quite a long time. And sorry, Trevor.
Now,
I
be
went,
nice.
Yeah. And the funny thing was I was going to buy the 294 MC because I watched this channel and he was recommending that, and I was like, I'm not really sure about mono. And then this weird thing called COVID was happening over in China, and I couldn't get it. And I was like, that's over there. And but High Point Scientific, the people that I make an annual subscription to, they had the 1600 bundle. So I went straight from a DSLR to the 1600 bundle with the ZWO filters,
with the lovely
deal.
ZWO filters. Yes.
Yeah. And
Yes.
but I got some great images and I loved it. And
yeah,
nothing wrong with that camera other than bright stars. But yeah, so and it's like I ask everybody that I interview, like, okay, build me a rig. What would you build? And as a matter of fact, I've got a YouTube channel coming up called Let's Go Shopping. I'm going to totally build a rig with all the links to everything you need, from cable ties to power adapters to scopes to everything.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I do have a one-shot color camera in there. But I'm on the fence about it. I don't know. What do you guys think? It's like, it's easy. You don't have to worry about the filters and different filter offsets and all your different flats. But at the same time, man, that detail is, it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays when you mention filters, it's not like how it used to be with just strictly monochrome, and you get a monochrome and you get your 7 or 8 filters or what have you. Now with one shot, you've got narrow band, one shot, dual, triple, tri, quad, you name it, kind of filters. It's they're getting into it and all. And I started out with one shot now, and I've moved over to mono, and I love it. I absolutely love mono. I mean, just since it's, you're like, I love mono, baby. I love it. Here, kiss me, and give me some mono. But yeah, Sean's ready. He's just, I think, oh my God, Eric. but no, monochrome has been awesome. I mean, the sensitivity, and it's. Yeah. Okay. Filters, big deal. I mean, I can knock it out just as fast as I could with one shot. That's what I realized. It's not as bad as you think.
Nah.
Well, that's
go
ahead, Sean. Go ahead.
I think I was just going to say I kind of had the opposite. I don't think that the results that everyone's getting with the one shot color and these new dual bands and tri bands and that are all that great, really. I think if you're you're going to get into the hobby and you're going to start imaging, I would just jump right in with monochrome and just learn it. I don't want to say I made the mistake, but I extended my learning curve quite a bit by sticking with one shot color for too long before I made the switch to monochrome. Once you make the switch to mono, there's no going back. It's a totally different way of imaging, and the results you get are so much more better, I feel anyways, versus the one shot color. And taking one shot color data and manipulating it into a Hubble palette and whatnot, that's great and everything, but you're still not going to get the same result that you would if you actually shot it properly using monochrome and the individual filters that are required for something like that. So
what about galaxies there? Do you think that galaxies benefit from
galaxies
could color?
Be you could argue that one shot color okay for galaxies, but there again, you can really add in the H alpha component to the Galaxy with the monochrome versus not. You could do it with the one shot color if you used an L Extreme or something like that, but and just extracted the red channel. But realistically, if you're going to put the effort in, if you're going to spend the money, just do it right from the start and get into monochrome. I think, anyways. I wish I had done it sooner. I didn't. I actually played with monochrome a little bit in between my DSLR days and my first one-shot color CCD camera, but I sort of wish that I just jumped right into monochrome earlier and just approached it from that perspective. So I don't know. That's my take on it, anyways.
No, I'm like you, Sean. I mean, I started out. I still have a one shot, and I started out for years. I've been doing this now for maybe 6 years, and I've just really got started with monochrome in the past year.
Oh, wow.
So I mean, if you go to my AstroBin page, the majority of it is all one shot color data, and using like the L Pro or the L Extreme or the NVZ or something like that, or some sort of filter that's dedicated for one shot. But no, now that I have the monochrome camera, I mean, I even got at one point, I remember maybe it was a year or two ago, I bought the 1600 with the whole filter wheel and the whole thing. And just one of those moments where, and I sold it because I just couldn't get it at the time. I was getting frustrated, and maybe it was just one of those things. So I ended up selling it. And what did I end up doing? 2 years later, I buy it again.
And just one thing that you might want to think about, and I don't think there's I personally I like monochrome better. I got my 268M. I had a STF8300M. So I mean, I had some decent mono cameras, but you got to take into account also, I think, your skies and what you could get away with, as far as if you're thinking about doing a one-shot color camera. Because to be in all fairness, I mean, I'm not an awesome astro. I'm okay, but I wouldn't even think about taking a one-shot color being in the suburb of New York. I just wouldn't think about it because you're Bortle 8.5, 9, 10, whatever we're at these days, and you're limited by what your skies and your imaging conditions are. So I think we should take that into account. Now, if you have a one night and you're in Bryce Canyon and you're in one night and you're at a Bortle 1 sky, well, if you want to maximize number of if you're going out there for one target, go mono. If you want to go out there and go 3 targets in Bryce Canyon, because I got to go home the next day, you might want to do a one-shot color because you got the skies and you only have one night. So you want to kind of think about that as well.
Yeah, in the mono camera, I found real quick, an hour of mono was 10 hours of one shot color. I mean, it just really was, because your quantum efficiency is so much higher. You're collecting so much more signal. And I'm in a Bortle 6, 7, so I'm in that, those brighter skies that really didn't do well. I fought a ton of green. I never really could, even with the old Russell Croman, what was it, grading exterminator in Photoshop. It did okay, but you were still clipping just a little bit. Some of those sins, you had some of those astro processing sins to try to mitigate some of that stuff. And then once you go mono, and to be honest with you, I actually filter stack. I don't know if any of you guys do that, but I use an L Pro in front threaded to my reducer. So I've got Antilia 3nm filters, and then on the front I've got an L Pro. And from like when I'm shooting luminance, it really helps with the contrast with that mono camera. I can tell you this: don't thread it on the front of a little tiny like TPO 180, because you're going to think you just photographed an alien. I did that for about 10 minutes until I realized that doesn't work.
That's an interesting way to do it, because you don't hear that a lot, where people, at least from the way I was taught, the cardinal rule was don't stack your filters. Don't do it.
It works great.
Hey.
That's all I can say. Yeah, it helps.
And that just goes to prove, hey, listen, people have different ways of doing things, and you may just have one way that works, for you, and it might not work for somebody else. So you got to figure out what works for you and go with that. So
Yeah, and I've actually, I've had the 1600, I've had the 294 533. I still have that, and then now the 2600. And I really find that they all have different characteristics. Of course, the 294 had obviously the gigantic starburst amp glow. So now you had to learn how to shoot flats, dark flats, which talking to Eric about how to help that out, because I switched to the ASI Air. But the 533 does not like Russell Croman's noise exterminator at all, especially in a linear state. It looks blotchy. So you've really got to push that limit down to, like, I push it down to 40%. I run a real light pass of linear noise reduction with any 533 data. 2600 loves it full on. That sounded weird, but it does. But I've noticed differences in those cameras that I really can't explain. And the other thing that I find weird too with mono is I love it, but if I want to shoot like an LRGB image and I don't put a lot of time in it, it looks awful. You guys notice that, like, if you're just shooting just LRGB or RGB images, especially like nebulas, you just don't seem to get the same signal or the same kind of image. And obviously you add HA to it and everything works out, but I really haven't seen a lot of success in that. I don't know if you guys have seen that or not. It could just be my skies.
I mean, I have the 268, which is the 2600 pretty much.
Okay.
And I'm in Bortle 8, and I could do 4 or 5 hours on an LRGB, and I'll be okay.
Okay.
I mean, I usually don't look at anything before I hit 10. So, but I've taken some good images LRGB with an hour each filter. Is it going to be A pod worthy? No, it's not, because I need about 5 times that data. But I mean, it's
especially
just
where you live.
Yeah, I mean, but in all fairness, I mean, when you're shooting mono and you're forgetting the luminance filter, when you're doing the RGB filters, you're getting some inherent protection by shooting only in one wavelength. So it's not as bad as what you would think shooting in a Bortle 8 sky in mono. Can you shoot a 10-minute exposure? Probably not. Even if your mount, if you got a lower end mount, you're not going to be doing that anyway. But you want to make sure that you're able to get that histogram off that left-hand side and not blowing it out. And you got to sit there and look and say, hey, okay, you know what? In my skies, in a one-shot color, I'm shooting 15 or 20 seconds. In mono, and let's see, the RB or G channel, I'm shooting 2 or 3 minutes. And that's fine. With my luminance, I'm only shooting about 45 to 60, maybe, it depends on the night.
So I'll tell you something.
I just want to go back. I want to go back to the 533 and noise exterminator there. You said about the problem that you had with it. Did you ever bring that up with Russ at all? The problem?
No, I didn't. I probably should. I've never seen anybody else comment about that. But have you guys ever done the HDMR composition where you're doing like a core of Orion? And you don't really smooth those filters out, and you get this image, and you have to see it kind of layered, or like when you do a DBE and you see your background extracted and you don't have it smoothed out, so you see the layers. That's kind of what I'm seeing in my background when I run
533
with just the 533.
Okay, because I honestly, I maybe need to look a little bit more, because I have the 533 mono myself, and I haven't seen it personally.
Are you able to upload a master light, Stephen? I'd just be curious to have a look at it actually on my side.
Send you one.
See what kind of results I get, because that seems
and it's not. And it was really like it wasn't. HA was doing it in 03. S2 wouldn't do it too bad. In my RGB subs, it seemed like, and especially if I did shorter subs, it was really bad.
Yeah.
Like if I was shooting RGB and shooting 30 or 60 seconds just to get star color, I
Mhm.
wouldn't even, I couldn't even run it on at
Oh,
all.
wow.
That's interesting.
And I just
Wow.
have that. I have that little quirkiness that I just cannot stand stretching noise. So I try to mitigate it as much as I
Yeah.
can prior to stretching. You
Yeah,
know?
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matter of fact, let me just take a look at something here. Oh, it would help if I turned on STF. Okay. Yeah, let me. I want to just look here because I've actually got some 533 data that I just finished up processing, and I'll share that. But before we do that, I think it was Dennis had a question. So what would an affordable set of monofilters consist of?
I
Well,
think he was talking about cost. Oh no,
yeah, as far as yeah, an affordable set of monofilters consist of. Well, honestly, it would all depend on one, your band pass, because the higher the
he's
band
talking
pass,
about broadband anyway. So
oh, was he
he's
talking
talking
just
about
broadband?
broadband.
The size of the sensor, first of all.
Yeah, so there's
Yeah.
there's quite a few things like to Pete's point, what's the size of the sensor? Because if you go 1 1/4, there's affordability right there. Myself, I've got both, but yeah, I would like to know, Dennis, are we talking just LRGB, or are we talking monochrome narrowband as well? Because when you're
Yeah,
talking
he
narrow,
made it. He wants broadband. I'm trying to find out about the camera, but
yeah,
I told him astronomic 2-inch. If you get those, it's $560.
yeah, you
If
can
you go to
get
1 1/4, you could get it for like $200 left, so like 350, 400.
you can get
Like
some
$100 a filter to start. But I mean, if you want Astrodons, like the E series, or if you want, or the I series, you want something like that. Good luck getting them. If you could get them, great. But you get a whole bunch of, you get the if you want entry level stuff, or just maybe a little bit ahead of it, the Optolongs might be in your pocketbook size. So there are lots of things to consider about, again, what is, if you're shooting 4/3, maybe, or you're shooting for a small sensor, maybe you get that 1 1/4. you know if you're going full frame, well, now you got to get a little bit bigger. So
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that was it. I'm probably mispronouncing it, but the Antella, that's what I shoot, 3 nanometer, and I love
me
them.
too.
I mean, they're affordable. You're getting that really tight band pass. The oxygen still will show a little bit more light pollution gradient than the sulfur or the HA, but
mhm,
I mean they've been a great filter
yeah.
for
That's
sure.
the same with mine. Yeah,
Yeah,
And it's weird too because ZWO. That's always been my real crux with this hobby is I get real frustrated with people who put stuff out. They call it affordable, and they put it at this ridiculously low price, and they're doing that because they're mass producing it, and they found some really way to just bang these things out, right? But I think it's done more to deter people from the hobby because you're frustrated with gradients or focus or stuff's not lining up or you've got tilt, with telescopes. And so I very rarely tell people, go buy the cheapest thing you can find because you're just going to get frustrated and you're going to leave a wonderful lifetime hobby,
Yep.
in the dust.
Mhm.
And
that's
I've
one of the
had,
things that Pete says all the time. You still got to keep in mind, everyone's got a budget. Cost is relative to what the size of your pocketbook is. So
Yep.
that being said, you want to be able to do, buy ones, cry ones. Instead of sitting there buying these, if you know in your heart that you're really going to be doing this kind of stuff, you may want to take a step back, save for a couple more paychecks, and get something that's really going to help you during the hobby, because you're right. Sometimes people put out this stuff at this low price point and it just I was going to say something else, but it annoys people. And they're like, this don't work.
Yeah.
I'm done, and it sits in the closet of death for 3 years, and
Yeah.
then you either sell it or give it to your niece or nephew, and then you annoy them. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah, because there'll be
What
another thing.
happens when
Why did Uncle Dan give me this? What am I going to do with it?
I don't like
Yeah.
you.
that's when you
Yeah.
give them a ZWO.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
well,
It's on
I,
now.
Sean, I'm with
Oh,
you.
you're
You
really
know I'm
good.
with you, man.
Yeah, I know.
We're gonna have to do a blind taste test. Which
Oh.
camera image this, took this picture, and then people just gonna have to pick.
Yeah.
Just like a blind
Yeah.
taste test. See who.
Well, it'll be
see
easy
which
to
one
tell
gets
the
picked the most.
ZWO is it'll have a big
Yes,
oil
no.
streak in it.
You're missing the point. It's not about the image quality. It's about the build quality. That's the secret.
Yeah.
If you look at
Yeah.
the China-made products, it's the build quality that you want to compare apples to apples with.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
where I find the QHY has a better build quality, and so does in just with the limited time that I've spent working with it so far. But the Player One cameras, they have a really high build quality to them, which is nice feature to see. Compared to, I had ZWO cameras. I'm quite familiar with ZWO and whatnot, and I'm not saying
Most
they're bad
people
cameras
are.
or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're really
Yeah.
popular and whatnot. And that's great. I didn't think the build quality was all that good, and the results I got with those cameras compared to others just weren't the same. So that sort of motivated me to move to the QHY brand in particular for many years, and I stuck with them for a long time. So
My biggest problem with ZWO is they seem to celebrate the Chinese New Year like every other week. Especially when you have something broken and you're trying to get it fixed.
Well,
I don't
now
know
it's
why. That's-
now it's what? It's the Dragon Boat Festival coming up,
yeah,
or
it's
something
always
like that.
something.
It's
Good Lord.
something's going on. I
Yeah.
just got a letter from Player One Cameras saying, by the way, we're not taking any orders in a couple of weeks because it's the Dragon
wow.
Boat Festival. I said, all right, Vanessa, no problem. Yeah, no, I love the QHY cameras. That Sean, you turned me on to that 268, so I picked that up, and I got the full set of the Optolongs. I got the Optolongs broadband and the 3 nanometers Optolong, and they seem to work well for me. I mean, even in the crappy skies I have, on the TAC is pretty well tamed in the narrow band when you're doing with that. It's
Being involved in this hobby, you know all the strengths and weaknesses of all the manufacturers, the OEMs. You know what they're good at doing. You know what they're not good at doing. And when ZWO first came out, their big issue is that when you started pushing the cooling fan past 90% cooling, that was the weak point. And then you'd either have to send the cameras back to the distributors, and then they would wait until they got at least 30 cameras to be able to make it worthwhile to ship back to ZWO. So then you'd be out 6 to 18 weeks just the repair of the fans, because that's always been the problem with ZWO. Then after that was the issue on their the 2600 or the 1600 was the
mono.
oil.
26. Yep.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
2600,
Oil,
the monos.
right?
Oh yeah, I think it was on both the monos and the one shots where you had the
Oh, yeah.
oil issue.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So as you said, you're absolutely right. When you really start looking at putting your dollars towards a product, you got to really consider looking at what is the advantage of looking at the build quality. It's the build quality that's going to really pay dividends in the return on the investment.
yeah.
Yeah, and I wish
Yeah.
there was an intermediate, especially in Newtonian worlds, because you go like RCs and Newtonians between between an Ioptron and maybe an Orion build, they're all coming out of the same factory. They're
Yep.
just rolling them out, painting them different, and rebranding them.
Yep.
And I'm fighting with a big 10-inch Orion right now, and it was cheap. It was like $900, but I would gladly pay $2,000 to $3,000. I know there's Orion S optics out there, and you're probably talking $6,000-7,000 for an F4 Newtonian. But I wish there was somebody in intermediate that was at least building these somewhat not on an assembly line, but they're actually like personally building it. You said this person built your scope. I wish a company would start up like that, because I think people would pay that a little bit extra, you know, the 50% more to get a better build quality, because it is frustrating. I mean, I just got that 10-inch and I had a video on it. I put it in the rings and it almost fell on the floor because the rings weren't tight enough.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I saw in your video how
Don't
you
get
were,
an
you were
OUK.
like the vein,
yeah,
like the
No.
spider
Stay
vein.
away from OUK.
No, don't
Yeah.
do OUK. No.
No.
yeah,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I remember that, your video when you were, and you even complain, about, you love it, but freaking spider, the spider veins,
Yeah.
and how they're
I
off.
still haven't
and
addressed it.
Yeah. So
I've got
no,
split.
I totally agree.
Yeah. In the light leak, the first time I got the Skywatcher was the first, what I thought was the step up from that Celestron that was just for observing, and I imaged with it for years at 6-inch. So I got the Skywatcher 8-inch, Quattro,
Yep.
200p. I mean, the list goes on in the names, and I'm like, yeah, man, this is it. It's the last Newtonian I'll have to buy. And I start to take my darks, and what do? I just put the cover on the end, and my darks looked like I was imaging a comet. And I was like, what is this? And I didn't even look at them. I just threw them in WBPP, and I, stacked my image, and I went, oh my God, I was so excited. And I get this image back. It looks terrible. And why? Because where the primary mirror meets the back, there is absolutely nothing to block the light back there. So, I've got
I
pantyhose
actually
on the back
use
of it.
I used shower caps, black shower caps.
Yep.
I got two of them. I
Yeah.
put one on the front end, one on the back end, and I usually shoot my darks when it's dark out, actually, just so that I can avoid any problems with light leak and
Oh, you got
whatnot.
to.
But,
Yeah, with an Newtonian,
yeah,
you got to, for sure. Yeah.
yeah, you have to. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But
just
one way to improve a Newtonian, though, in general, I think, is going with the Starzona Nexus reducer. If you have an F4 Newtonian, put that on. I've just gotten phenomenal results with mine on my Starfield 8-inch scope. That combination, the 8-inch, the light bucket capability with that fast focal ratio, that F3, just amazing results with that combination. I highly recommend. Yeah, and a lot of people shy away from Newtonians. And they really shouldn't, because the results that I'm getting with my setup, the telescope itself costs maybe a third of what some of the refractors I have do. What they cost. I'm actually getting better results with this current setup than I did with the more expensive refractors. So, if you're not afraid of taking on collimation once in a while, which isn't really that hard to do once you understand it, it's pretty quick. And we've got, you got tools now that you can use, like the Opal and stuff like that, which make it a breeze.
We talked about that last week.
Yeah, we talked about it last time. Yeah. But definitely, I think the Newtonians and the reflectors in general are overlooked a lot in the hobby in favor of the refractors. Just being refractors are easier. You don't have to worry about collimation most of the time and stuff like that. But I think the reflectors don't get their due credit in the hobby.
I think what the issue is, Sean, is that there's more maintenance. You got to definitely go ahead and recoat the mirror. There's a little bit more maintenance, but I agree with you. They're great. Newtonians are phenomenal scopes. I wouldn't recommend them for a beginner, but after you've done something where you kind of learn, like with the refractor, maybe you get into a Newtonian after you've got a couple of years under your belt. By all means, I agree with you 100%. They're great imaging scopes. And if you remember right, the only coma corrector that you could get prior to the Starzona was the Bader. Remember the MPCC?
Yep.
That was
I still got one, actually. Yeah. I still have one.
So you're right.
That goes back to when I had my
Starzona coma corrector is phenomenal.
Yeah, it is.
And I'll tell you something else that's made Newtonians more attractive is the advancement in AI star removal. When that, removing stars and being able to process your nebulosity without worrying about the stars, or like I've really been getting into lately, is shooting a whole nother batch of stars, even with RGB. I will shoot 4-minute subs on RGB, and then I will go back and shoot a bunch of 30-second subs just for stars and put those stars in, because I like really small stars. But once that AI upgrade, got to the point with star removal and could get the spikes out, and you weren't fighting that, that really made me more attracted to Newtonians, because that was one thing, I was like pulling the stars out, processing and putting them back in. And then with the Newtonians and the old like StarNet, it was atrocious trying to get some of those star spikes out. But now that it can, it just, to me, it's almost like having a refract, because I used to love going back to my 80 millimeter because I didn't have to worry about the star spikes.
Right.
But now you
And
don't
that's
really
one
have to
of
worry
the
about it.
things. Yeah, because that's one of the things that it's like a love-hate thing. It just depends on your preference when it comes to, like, say, the stars and the diffraction spikes. Some people, like really they really like them. They're really nice, and other people, and I'm in a mixed bag. It just depends on probably what target I'm shooting at. That I can say, okay, the spike would look really cool here, but then for the most part, I'm like you, rip out the stars or use my refractor or what have you. That's one reason why I even like my Schmidt, is because I don't have to worry about things like that. And even with this, besides just collimation, it's awesome. I mean, I call it the Swiss Army knife of telescopes. I mean, I can do almost any focal ratio with this thing, but I can do f2. If I bought the Night Owl, I can go f4, or I can go f7 or f10 or higher. It doesn't matter. So that's one thing I like about the Schmidt. But also, to your point, having that speed, and even to Sean, having that speed versus, because I've got a Rasa right behind it of f3, and having that focal ratio of those newts and those astrograph newts, they're awesome. I really think they're really, really cool. But even to what Pete was saying, maybe it's the maintenance or what have you that maybe turns some people off when it comes to the reflectors, like the Newtonians. It's either you're dealing with the mirrors, or like with you dealing with either the vanes, or it's the collimation.
I think it's simpler than that. I really do. I think it's a lot simpler than that. It's the unknown that they're worried about, because if you take a look at many, I mean, I would go as high as 90% of the astrophotographers out there that are on YouTube and doing everything are either refractors or SCTs. Or there really are. There's not a lot of people out there that showcase Newtonian astrophotography on there. There's probably a handful out there. You know what I mean? There's not a lot. A lot of people are showing their red cats, or the FLT91s, or something like that. And that's what a lot of people are showing. And I think when people don't, that they see a different type of telescope, they're like, well, I don't know much about that. I don't think I'm going to do it. I see everybody else using this, so I'm going to get this. And I even though we shouldn't be, a lot of astrophotographers out there are impulse buyers, and that's true. What?
I said, no, you're telling fibs now. Nobody just buys something randomly like that.
Want that, and I want it now. So and that's what it is. And I think that maybe if more people were doing different types of astrophotography, with using different scopes, even you talk about the CDKs, or something like that. Now we're going to a different level of pocketbook again. But it's really, if things are more out there and in your face, people will get comfortable with it. People will buy it if they have the money. And that's.
Well,
we got a couple questions.
It's the maintenance factor. Let's be honest with you. People don't want to put the time in to do the maintenance. Think about it. You want a scope that, guess what? Do I need to go ahead and I need to have the inside of the scope, make sure that its ambient temperature is equal. So guess what? I don't have any air distribution going inside the scopes. So next thing you know, after 4 or 5 years, their mirror is starting to pit because they've got corrosion. And then they realize, well, now I got to tear that apart, and then I got to send that mirror in. I've got to go ahead and find a good source to go ahead and recoat the mirror. So you're right. they just don't want to go through the maintenance factor of it. But people like Sean, Sean, that's part of your due diligence. You do this because guess what? This is what you do. And, this scope is really going to be A+ when you stay on top of the maintenance. But it's like everything. If you're proactive, maintenance becomes inconsequential. It's when you don't do maintenance, then all of a sudden it comes up to you and it's like, now I got to pay a big dollar denomination. It's that dollar denomination that's going to cause the pain threshold. And you're right. At that point, people say, well, it's not worth the cost. I'll just go ahead and sell the scope. That's what I found out being in the hobby for such a long time, that when the maintenance becomes too much and too costly, it's just worth selling the scope.
A lot of us like to tinker. I don't know about you guys, but I get a kick out of cable management. Sometimes if I swap rigs, I love the whole process of putting a new camera on the rig and tinkering, and I love dialing stuff in, and you got to really love that when you have a Newtonian like that. And it's funny because we are also automated now. I don't know about you guys, but probably not many of you guys are out underneath there hit with an intervalometer anymore. Or like I did with an Android app, hitting a button every time I want to take an exposure. We set it, we go inside. Yeah, I did that. Yeah,
I did that.
So, but that connected us to this hobby, and it connected us to the night sky because you were constantly looking up while you're waiting for that 15 or 20-second sub to take a picture.
Yep.
And so all the stuff that we spend money on has really detached us from this hobby. And what those Newtonians do is they kind of reconnect us, because you really got to get in there and you've got to pull that camera off, and you've got to do a collimation nightly, and you really feel like you're accomplishing something. It's not so automated, and you're still a part of this hobby. At least maybe I'm just speaking for me, but that's what I've found about those Newtonians and the romance with those things that I love.
Yeah, and you're lucky if I'm outside at all, because I image from my living room, so I don't even. I'm not even outside anymore.
Yeah.
English Fires is asking, does anyone have any experience with the Prima Luce Lab Giotto flat panels? Dan?
Sure. Yeah. Hold on.
Should I invest in it?
Give me a second, and I'll tell you right now. Hold on. Give me a second.
Okay. One other thing was while he's doing that, while David Barnett was saying one of the big problems with newts, for his opinion, one of the big problems with newts is they're physically big.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'll put my headpiece back in because I can't hear anybody yet.
I mean, you could say the same. I could say the same thing about this. In a way, it's big, but it's not really. It's only an 8-inch. I mean, I'm not talking around an 11. Oh, there it is.
Wow.
Okay, so this is the full package. This is the Giotto and the Alto motor. Okay, so I have two of these. I have one for my 5-inch astrophysics and another one for my smaller scope, so a little smaller guy than this. But I got to tell you, the one thing I love about this with the automated flat panel like this, I stick it. I bought, and everybody was making fun of me. I bought a 750 millimeter dovetail.
Oh, things the paddle?
The 14-inch dovetail.
The nun's paddle.
Yeah, exactly. So the reason why I needed that, because I needed something long enough to extend just a little bit further than my dew shield on the 5-inch refractor. Refractor is pretty long, so I needed something long enough to kind of slide this on there so it would lift up like that. But the whole thing is that I'm able now to take flats nightly, automatically, and it runs right through the Nina Advanced Sequencer, and it closes the flat panel, takes the pictures, and then you could leave it remain closed if you're done for the night, so it acts as a lens cover, or you could have it come back down and do another project or whatever you want to do. It just says open. It's an open close, and it does. If you could train these, because these are all ASCOM compliant, so you could train them to say, okay, you know what, let's do. You do an LRGB, it's going to know what brightness to set this at and what second to set it at. So you don't have to worry about that. It changes the brightness to match your seconds, or it changes the seconds to match your brightness. It doesn't matter. So you know, just sit there and do it. I love them. I think it's great. So
Man, see, I got a tracing panel from Amazon and a knitting hoop. I got you beat, brother.
hey, you know what? It works, right?
Yeah,
It works.
it was funny because I was talking to Kurt Zappatello, and he had a
Yeah.
video, and he kept putting paper to get the bright because it was
Get
too
the
bright.
brightness
He kept
down.
putting
Yeah.
paper and get the brightness down. And I said, "Hey, man, just flip the panel upside down." And he just went, "What?"
Oh,
I said,
oh,
"Yeah,
yeah.
because that panel shines light through both ends. It's
Shines
just
light
really
through,
dim
yeah.
on the backside." Yeah, I just flip the panel upside down, shine the light up, and then turn it on bright, and you got your flats. And he was like, "Oh my god." You know, I've been
Think
shoving construction
outside the
paper in this
box.
thing.
Outside the box.
Literally outside the box. But yeah, that's one of these days I'll have a flat panel. It's my next expenditure, I guess. I don't know.
What are your opinions on, speaking with, we're talking about newts and these reflectors? One that I've always been interested in were the truss tube type. What are your opinions as far as, you're talking like Pete and you and even you, Sean, I think you guys are talking about, getting it acclimated to, ambient temperature and all of that stuff, having, using those types of Newtonians or RCs, and even the CDKs, they're kind of that truss style. What are your opinions on those? And would you get one? Would you, if you're using Newtonians, would you think of getting one?
I could tell you this from my experience, it really boils down to this. And when you get into longer focal lengths, when you get into truss tubes, when you get into things that are very reactive to guiding issues, to polar alignment issues, you really need a pier. You need a mount that's set up constantly. You need that scope set up, and you need to protect it. If you're like me and you're having to drag stuff out every night and go through the arduous task of balancing and polar alignment and stuff, you're going to be really frustrated with a big, long focal length scope like that. Because by the time you get it dialed in, to me, those scopes are not just you set it up in 2 hours and you're done. Those scopes are a dial it and tweak it over several nights before you really have good imaging runs. Everybody just left.
Everybody just
my bad.
We're back.
Wrong button.
We're back.
I had to
everybody.
refresh your name. Somehow it said Peter Miller on there, and I don't know why it said Peter Miller on there. I think I typed Peter Myers, and I forgot to replace the name. So I apologize about that. I just changed that.
So yeah, like I said, scopes like that, I think they need constant collimation. They need tweaking. There's in my environment, you've got big temperature swings. You could be, 80 degrees when you start shooting, and you could be 60 degrees at 4 o'clock in the morning. You've got tons of dew. I just think if you have a dome and you've got a real permanent setup, you can have that mount out on a pier. Go for it, because you're really going to enjoy some of those longer focal length images that you're going to get when you're spreading that data across more of the sensor. That's the thing that a lot of people don't understand is you've got this big sensor and you got a little tiny whirlpool galaxy in the middle of it. Well, only so many pixels are contributing to the detail of that. And that's why we go for those longer focal lengths, right? So if you have to drag it from the house, come out of the air conditioning or out of the heat back into the cold, and you're having to pull it back in because your neighbor's going to steal it and sell it for beer, then you probably need to stay away. And I would say you may want to stay away from Newtonians. I mean, and I say that, lightly, because they do require some effort to set up. And especially like, Eric, your point about the biggest thing is size. Like that 10-inch Newtonian is 46 pounds. That's fully loaded. And I had it on an EQ6R, which is rated for 44.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to be 2/3 of that. And it did it. And I got great images, and I was getting 0.7 guiding, the off-axis guider. But that thing's a beast. And then, none of us are getting younger. Things like that are heavy to set up. And there's been many a times where I thought I was going to drop it. So that's a consideration. Can you pick this thing up every night? Or is it set up and you've got a nice setup and it's out there? Then go for as big as you can get. That's kind of my thing. But really, are you having to lug it in a car and then go out to a desert and set up just to get away from the city? Then you probably, those things really fast. Then you probably want to go for a smaller refractor. And especially now, I've noticed like these wider or longer or shorter focal length, wider field refractors with like blur exterminator and some of these sharpening tools that we have out now, you really can fine tune those details and resolve more detail than you could 4 years ago with images,
Oh yeah.
especially in wide field. So that's another benefit. And that's kind of one of the things I like to do is I'll shoot a wide field target and then I'll get bored because I process for therapy. And then I'll, crop in on an area that's just something that's in an area of a popular target, but I'll just crop in on it and just process a really small area and see how I can resolve that. And I find that's a lot of fun, and it's easier to do that now, with the way PixInsight's set up and some of the new processing tools that we have. So that's my long-winded answer to a big scope like that is
Big scope.
what's your setup? Yeah.
See, yeah, that's one thing. Like for me, having that, the aperture fever, I went this route because one, it's easy to set up. It's relatively light. I mean, it's less than 20 pounds, just the OTA. The whole thing is probably just maybe a hair under 30, and I can do, a lot more with it as far as versatility. And if I want to get that reach, I like pairing it with the 530 read, with the 533, because when you have that 1-inch crop sensor along with, this focal length, you are really getting, getting that magnification. So,
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I saw people say, it takes some getting used to a square sensor. And I was like, huh? Like, really? I don't know. Did you feel like you were thrown off there for a while? I just felt like, hey, it's just a square. It's a square. It's a rectangle. There's corners.
No,
there's Sean up there in the corner.
I don't know. I always liked. I always liked the rectangular sensor. I never went for the square. I talk about it on the show all the time with Eric because Eric's a fan of the 533, and I was like, yeah, but it's square. It's not right. There's just something fundamentally wrong with that. It should not be square. It should be like your phone, like this.
No,
it's not like a box. But so, bottom line is you could crop the top, crop the bottom. You got a rectangle. But I mean, but I mean, it's just it's a personal preference. That's really what it's all about. You like it or you don't. I'm not a fan, and I will probably never get a square sensor. But that's on me. That's what I like, and that's there's certain things that I won't buy. I won't buy certain things, and that's just me.
Well, here, this is because see, this is what you were mentioning with the 533 and your experience. I'll just share this real quick. So you minimize this. Now, you were saying was it blur exterminator or was it noise exterminator?
No, not blur exterminator, noise exterminator. Yep.
Okay, so this is, let me see.
Granted, I was shooting, this is all mono too, so that's what.
Yeah, this is all mono.
Okay.
So this is without noise exterminator. Okay, there's with. You can see the noise. And there's without. And
yeah, you see kind of like pixelation and.
Oh yeah, you talking right here?
Yeah, it's very weird. And I didn't get that with the 16. I didn't get it with the 294 or this 26, but I got it really bad, especially like with HA data. And if I was just trying to see what the data looked like and I had maybe an hour or two of HA data, I shoot 6 minutes up. So that was really, really bad. I mean, the more time I put on it, the better it got. So it was just a practice of, because I usually run 2 passes of noise exterminator anyway, but I always, with other cameras, I felt like I could run it at that, it's default at like 90%. I guess that's how they measure it, 0.9. And I even lowered the details. Yeah,
because it starts out at 0.9. Yeah.
That's a default.
Because that's the default. And you were saying you would usually go down to maybe 25%?
Yeah, like 30, 40%, and just enough to just kind of smooth it out. and then have to come back after I've integrated everything, and then I could run it at 90% and it was fine. But it was in the linear state that I was really having problems with it.
Right. So I'm just going to take a quick preview. And must be what? Preview must be at least 256 pixels.
Yeah, you got to have a bigger.
You got to have a bigger preview.
You have a bigger, yeah. Okay, so I have to have a bigger. All right, no problem. Let me back this out here. And let's do another one. See if that's good enough.
Have any of you guys done the CUDA upgrade?
Oh yeah.
To get yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You have to do it if you have an NVIDIA card.
I mean,
yeah.
I picked up the 4080 for NVIDIA, and thing just smokes. It's ridiculous. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
If you're running just the CPU on it, it takes like Star Exterminator like 3 minutes, and then I'm down to about 12 seconds using the GPU.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, once I got the 2600, obviously the file size increased, and when I first started using it, I was undersampled.
Okay.
So then I ran Drizzle to try to get better star resolve, and then that, oh my god, when you drizzled that, you see what I'm saying there?
Yeah.
You see it on that splotchiness, and I've only found that with the 533.
That's interesting.
Now,
that's very interesting.
Yeah, I'd send a master over to Russ there and let him have a look at it and see what he thinks, because that's very unusual.
Yeah, that is.
And what I didn't take it a step further was to stretch it and say, well, is it just the STF giving me kind of a funky preview? Because I noticed, like, one thing, I don't know if you guys noticed, but if you run Noise Exterminator and then you realize you've messed up, so you go back and then you run the STF, it looks terrible. I mean, it's calculating it different, and I don't want an explanation of that either, but that'll really throw you off. You kind of run Noise Exterminator, then turn off the STF and then restretch it again. It looks awful.
Wow. And that's only with the 533, huh?
No, that's across the board.
Oh,
with any data.
Eric.
Yes.
Can you stretch? Can you just stretch the image? Just do a manual stretch on it and then apply the Noise Exterminator and see what the result is.
Yeah.
Because you're applying it. You're applying Noise Exterminator to it in a. Is this a processed image?
It's in linear. It's in linear.
It is linear. Okay. Yeah. Do a manual stretch on it, and then apply the Noise Exterminator and see what the result is.
And then apply noise. Okay. So let's
do a
go
stretch
right.
first.
So,
but do a manual stretch on it.
Okay. And go here.
No, don't do it. Don't do the STF. Do a manual stretch on it.
Just do a manual stretch.
Just
using histogram.
Use the middle. Yeah.
Use the middle slider. Bring it in.
Yeah. So close. Yeah.
Yeah. Bring that in.
So let me. Yeah.
You want to reset things.
Yeah. Reset.
Let me reset
track.
everything. Yeah. Let me reset everything. And then, all right. Let me just reset everything. Okay. And let's just go this guy. And
wow, this is painful to watch. Eric, I do
Eric,
want to.
Sorry. I know. I'm still a rookie. I'm still a rookie.
Right. Shameless plug.
Yeah. $100 an hour, man. Come on.
I know. And
I don't. That's Ron Breacher pricing.
That's weird.
I'll do it for less.
I'm trying to help you out, man. Come on.
So
For
yeah,
that price,
there's
you better
the
like play me a song and play me a guitar song while he's processing too.
yeah, I know.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You got
So
something that you're kind of
you're-
happy with?
no,
That seems
I'm
a little
never- I'm
bright
never
to me.
satisfied.
What are you?
I'm never satisfied with my stuff. Okay. I usually try to get more flat right there.
Jeez. Hey Dan, can you
Yeah.
play the Jeopardy tune?
Yep. All right.
I could, but I'd probably get a copyright strike. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know.
Okay. So that's done. And then let's go here. Yeah, let me just do a quick preview. Now that doesn't look too bad.
It doesn't look bad there.
Now that doesn't look too bad.
So it's
So
probably
maybe it's then
the,
after the fact. Maybe it's then doing it when it's in a non-linear state.
It may be just the auto STF that is giving a erroneous perspective on it, view of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I said.
Yeah.
Once I saw it doing that, I just ran away. And so I didn't take I didn't take the time to actually stretch it out and see, did it transfer over to the nonlinear state, or was it just the STF giving me a funky
extra,
readout there?
yeah.
Gotcha.
Huh.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I just broke something.
Cool.
You know, my dad told me I had the Midas touch in reverse. So
But that's what we do. We break things. That's
yeah,
you
you
know.
break things.
Yeah, we break
Okay.
stuff.
My touch in reverse.
Yeah.
And
That's awesome.
so what's the reverse of gold?
Yeah. Yeah, they're right.
And we'll just stop there.
It was probably a belt. Yeah. Or he tried to whip me one time with suspenders, and it came back and hit him. And I said, "What is that? What's wrong? Did that hurt you more than it hurt me?"
Oh, my eye! Oh,
Yeah, you know that was the thing to say at that moment.
yeah. But it was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It's funny now.
I could tell you a spanking story, but it's not made for TV.
It's not
So-
made for TV. This is a family show, Dan.
It's a family show.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right, Tom. I'm never satisfied. Absolutely.
So I was
But
talking.
but you saw that shot. That was with the Edge 8 and the 533. I was like,
okay.
I like that magnification. You know.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's really fun.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that just floored me was the 533 on the 10-inch. I just got stuck in this 6 minute. I shoot 6 minute narrowband subs. It's just the sweet spot to me, and always at the unity gain 139 or whatever unity gain for the camera is. I don't really mess around with gain and offset too much, but when the first sub of the Crescent Nebula and Oxygen came up and I could see the entire shell in a 6 minute sub, I was like, that's it. I'll deal with any problem you got, baby. That's awesome, because I had never seen that I'd seen other people image that shell, and I was like, there's a shell around that thing? I didn't know that, and then when I was able to see it in one sub, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be an amazing image. So that combo is definitely pretty cool. But like to your point, that thing's heavy, and a lot of people don't want to deal with that, so it's really just what's going to get you out there and what's going to keep you out there. And that's the main thing. I don't care what it is, what it looks like. If it keeps you out there and gets you out there, and the same thing with processing. That's a whole, we don't have another 6 hours to talk about it, but processing is extremely personal. And you can see, you can see people put out, hey, process my data, and you can see, and you will not get any one image that looks exactly like the other one. They're going to be very personal, and you can actually scroll along in Facebook groups and go, yep, that's his image. That's his image.
Yeah. We did that. I did that with the Masters of Pixinsight guys there with the Iris Nebula. We had we pooled all of our data, and all four of us processed it, and we all had different outcomes on it, completely different. It was actually quite interesting. What was actually more interesting was my image actually won out of all of them. So and I also do one-on-one fix and site tutoring if you're interested too. Just, I already
shameless plug.
Oh, what am I
Shameless
doing?
plug.
What am I doing?
I don't even, on my YouTube videos, I don't even say like and subscribe. There's two things I don't do on my YouTube videos. I don't say like and subscribe because I figure you've already heard everybody else say that. If you like it, like it. If you want to subscribe, subscribe. You know, I don't know that anybody's ever told me that, and I went, yes, sir. You know, I just And the other thing is, I will never say without further ado. I'm sorry if you guys say that. I don't do it. I just won't do it. It's my personal pet peeve. I will not say without further ado. I'll say, let's get into it or something else. But
I don't know if I'm gonna have to go back and look and see if I've ever said that. I guess I probably said it once.
I'm not knocking
somewhere.
you. I'm not knocking you.
Let's
You
do
say
this.
that's great. Yeah.
Not no.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, it's just, you know, that's one of the things, you know, that I need to get better at is scripting it out a little bit more, because I fall back to the things that I'm comfortable with a little bit sometimes and really go off the rails sometimes. So
yeah, and I've told people many times, and Sean and I were talking about it. I would much rather, if I sit down and I want to do something Astro at the computer, and my two choices are editing a video or processing an image, I'm going to process an image.
Absolutely.
And I almost feel like sometimes it's when you were a kid and you had homework to do, but you went over and doodled or played or gamed or something like that. And I'll get to that homework later. That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
And then when I get into editing my video and seeing myself say the same thing 6 times because I'm trying to get everything to line up just right, you know, I enjoy that. And I enjoy the final product. I put a lot of effort in the end of my videos to put nice music and pictures. I don't know if anybody ever gets to the end of the video, but I like it. And I don't have the same intro every time. A lot of people do that, and that's great. Sean's always had great intros, you know, and it probably takes a load off his plate. There's my intro, but I always do a different one every time.
I actually cut my intro. I was I'm actually in a YouTube group that there's one guy in there that has worked with some big names on YouTube.
Yeah.
And one thing that he said was to cut the intro, just get rid of it. We looked at some analytics and stuff of the videos of my videos, and it was interesting to see where people were dropping off and whatnot, or, you know, who was watching the intro, stuff like that. I actually ended up cutting my intro completely out. I just jump right into it basically and start yakking away. What was the other thing that I did too? Like you, I stopped doing the like and subscribe thing in my you know, latter videos, because it was overdone. Everyone's hammering on you, you know, like and subscribe, hit the bell button, you know, and stuff like that. And it's like,
to me, like and subscribe is putting your name, you know, putting your autograph on an image when you.
I'm gonna Hulk smash that like button. I'm telling you guys right now. You know what? This just me. Hulk smash.
You start to sound like Eric, you know. It's like, hit the like button, hit the like button.
I hate to say this because it may upset some people, but I used to watch the OPT videos, and they were always, before you get it further, smash that like button. Yep. Now they're not even in business anymore, and there goes my affiliate link. But whatever. But
I know mine.
Yeah,
mine came too. I noticed there was something wrong a couple months ago because it went to 0, and that was very unusual for that affiliate link to go to 0. And I actually made an inquiry with Dustin there, and he didn't really give me much info on what was going on. But then they just went out of business completely. So
that's weird too.
That
definitely.
Yeah. I was surprised. I was actually very surprised.
You wonder, was it Jenny? Was it Dustin? Because Alex Hawkins wanted to buy the name and they wouldn't give it to him. So I always wondered what was going on with that whole situation. I just know that for a fact that it was Jenny St. Lawrence's. It was her family that put the money up to buy the business.
Oh, is that right? Okay. All right. Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that.
That was 5 years ago.
Hey, you know what? Unfortunate. It just, makes the pond a little thinner for the little guys, So, so
Yeah.
like astroworldtelescopes.com, just
Oh,
so
another plug.
Oh,
so and
Yeah,
and
there it is.
and if
Sliding
if
it in.
if you want
Hey.
a Giotto or Alto, I am a Prima Luce dealer, so you can get it from me. So there you go.
That's Dan.
apparently, you got a
shameless plug.
2600 in there really cheap too. We can get so.
I can't. Oh, come
Yeah.
on, man! I'm not going to sell the guy's camera.
Put it up for auction. I'll bid on it.
Yeah.
I'll put it up on Tiger.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's good.
Although what we
Yeah.
got coming up in July. July's going to come up really quick because Cherry Springs is a washout, right? I know Molly went up there. I know what's his name from the Narrowband channel went up there. He actually lives in the area, so it wasn't really a big drive for him. But there's no way that I was driving 6 there, 6 back for Saturday night, and that's the only night that it's
Just
going to be
Saturday.
good.
Oh, wow.
It's just not worth it. I feel, and everybody's like, you're gonna miss all the guys. I said, I'll see you all in September at the Black Forest Star Party. It's in the same place. I'll see you there. Because June, historically, I've been going to Cherry Springs for 25 years now. And historically, the June Star Party is like 50-50. You either have really good, great nights or you have a hurricane. I mean, it's like kind of like it's literally. I left uh, because of a hurricane was coming, and it was like so many things happen in June, September. Enough for nothing. When you're there in June, you get maybe 6 hours a night imaging. Start at 9,
Yeah.
end at like 3:34. I mean, it's short. It's a really short night. So September, nights get longer, although they get quite cold in September. It could get down to the mid-20s at nighttime.
Oh, wow.
Because you're in the forest. It'll be 70, 75 during the day and 20 at night. And 4 o'clock in the morning, 20 degrees, it gets a little cold. But so I'm gonna go there in September, and then I'm going to Nebraska next month. I'm going to Nebraska Star Party, and
Wow.
then I'll be hanging out with Shawnee in August at
Yeah, you will.
Starfest. Oh, it's gonna be a good time.
It's gonna be awesome.
Gonna have my ketchup, potato chips, and poutine.
Yeah. Don't forget the whiskey. Don't forget the
Oh,
whiskey.
don't worry, I
Yeah.
got you. I got you.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, no, it's gonna be a good, and of course, on my way to Nebraska, I gotta go see the future home or birthplace of Captain Kirk. So I'm gonna travel through Iowa,
Nice.
and gonna go hit that. And
So you're
and
interested in corn, is what you're saying?
oh yeah,
Cool.
that's it. Yeah, I'm gonna go to Iowa, and then what I found out was that Nebraska Star Party, 3 hours north of the Nebraska Star Party, is Mount Rushmore. So I'm like, all right, well, I can't be in the area and not see Mount Rushmore. I got to go see it. It's only 3 hours. And then I said, okay, you know what? Well, 2 hours west of that is Devil's Tower. So got to go see that. so
Oh, yeah.
next thing you know, we're gonna be at the Golden Gate. I mean, it's but it's
Where am I?
it's going to be an interesting trip because it's good. It's a lot of drive. We're driving right through. We're just going through the whole country, pretty much. So it's going to be pretty cool.
Wow. Yeah, that's something
Awesome.
I have yet to do is do a star party or really image with a group of people, in real time in the
It's a
same
lot of
space.
fun. It's a lot of
Yeah.
fun, and once you get your rig going, right? What's really there to do except look at a computer screen, right? There's really nothing there to do. When you're there and you're at a star party, well, now, hey, Sean's over there. Let's go see what Sean's doing. Or Dan's
Mhm.
over there. Let's see what they're doing. Or Trevor Jones is over there. Let's go bug in. So
Yeah.
you could sit there and you could go around and talk to the people that want to be talked to, and and ignore the ones that don't. But it's a lot of fun when you're there with like literally 700 to 1,500 people, depending
Oh,
on,
wow.
or more, when you go and but it's really if you've never done it, I would tell you to do it. And you're from Florida, you never went to
Yeah.
Winter Star Party? Come on, man, you got to go to Winter Star
Nope.
Party.
Nope, never. I think there's one in Kissimmee State Park, which is a couple hours south, getting to the Everglades. That's a really
Yep.
dark part of Florida.
Yeah,
But it's
Winter
just,
Star Parties every year in the Keys. So
yeah.
We got a
Yeah.
guy that you should go see. He's got a great rig, just needs to get it out and just start the image. We can definitely get you hooked up.
yep, we do.
Yeah.
We nice 14-inch with a rainbow through RST 300,
Wow.
and he has yet to take a picture. He used to be a host on the show.
I mean, it just needs to get taken out. It just needs to get used.
I can prod.
He's on his fourth year of having that scope. He's got about 7 minutes worth of data.
What?
if that.
I'm not kidding. And he's probably watching right now. He's probably.
So Jerry was asking a question for Steve. So have you ever gone to any remote locations to image, or have you done primarily just your backyard?
I have gone to a couple different spots. I actually lease some property in Tallahassee, and I hunt there, and it's Bortle 4. So I really only have Tallahassee. And funny story is I just took my little simple rig up there where I had to bend down and look through a polar scope and and polar line, and I was not able to. I could not find Polaris. There were so many freaking stars. I was like, I need computer assistance immediatand
Get me the pole master.
Get me something. Get
something.
Me something right now. And it was about 22 degrees and I froze to death and I never got an image, but it's pretty dark up there but there's no power. That's one thing, like I see people looking at batteries and what kind of battery using and how much amps does my camera draw when it's cooling and all this stuff. And I go, I don't know. I plug it at my house. It just works all night. So I've never imaged off of a battery either. So I've got to try to figure some of those things out. But I'm looking to do a trip out west next next August. So we've looked at a cabin in New Mexico, kind of just south of the Grand Canyon. It's like Bortle 2. So stay out there a week. I'm going to sell my 2 mounts. Anybody interested? I've got a really nice Skywatcher EQ6R Pro for sale. Make you a good deal. But probably try to get that little GTI, something portable, take this little 61 out there and a camera and just do some wide field and shoot. But that's I've seen the Milky Way. I've been out west, but I wasn't doing this hobby. I saw it and I was like, wow. But I didn't really understand, it wasn't but about 4 years ago that I actually knew what the Milky Way was. I was like, oh, it's just a fuzzy spot up there. And then I went, oh, that's the edge of our galaxy. Freaking A, man.
Yeah, right.
yeah. I learned not to tell my girlfriend too much about light years. I talk about space. I say, hey, you see this? You see this image? This is 20 million light years away. This is a 20 million year old image. And she goes, okay, I'm going shopping. I'll see you later. I'm done.
Your wife and my wife need to go shopping together. So we'll get your wife, my wife, and Trish. We'll get them all together.
It's mind blowing.
I do that. That's nice to hear.
Yeah. I was just like, yeah, that's really interesting, sweetheart.
That's really interesting.
Good for you.
You go have fun.
I'm gonna go watch Housewives of Orange County now.
Gonna go get my glass of my glass of Chardonnay and just chill out. You go and have fun now.
Chardonnay, blah.
But you gotta hand it to him. It's like the other night I came in there and I'm like, do you see this? And I've got the phone right here in her face. I was like, 0.25. Do you know what that means? 0.25. Look. And she was like, what? 0.25? I was like, that's my guiding. 0.25 right now. And I was like running around. I was like, 0.25. And she goes, okay. Scroll.
You get me a glass of water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's been many, like, I saw my first horse head image. There was no horse head there. I completely missed it. I was not even anywhere near it because I was star hopping. But she, bless her heart, went, I see it. And then years later, when it wasn't even there, you know, it was like, here's a glass of orange juice, and now you're drunk. But yeah, so I really got to hit, like, you really have to have, you know, good support. And if something happened, and, you know, I know this is kind of weird to talk about, but if you were out there and had to like reestablish a relationship, you really have to bring that up quick, because you can't just casually say, oh yeah, and by the way, I might spend 4 hours in my room, you know, nitpicking over
Oh,
deconvolution. They're going to be like, what
Yeah.
do you do? You know,
What you
like,
doing?
that's a huge thing, you know, being out in the yard and the imaging and all the time we put into this. You really have to have not somebody who just casually supports it, you know, in your life, but you've got somebody that's really got to you know, really get into it, and may not be out there with you, but they really got to glean some happiness from you to see how happy you are doing this hobby. And
Yeah.
it's just as
yeah.
important as anything else that we're buying or working on, you know,
Yep.
unless you're out alone and you got a big ass fishing boat and you do that during the day, and then you image at night, then you're my hero. But no,
Actually, Pete just came home from fishing.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's my other hobby.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
But yeah,
But
you're exactly right. I mean, and I know Robin and Trish and my wife Jen. They'll my wife just comes up to me and says, I said, babe, this is cool, man. Everything's working right. And the next day everything
Yeah.
is like nothing's working right. I don't know what the hell's going on. And she's like, oh, it's okay, baby. It'll work tomorrow night. It'll be okay. And then when
Yeah.
you get something good, she's like, you're so cute. And I'm like, okay, but no, it's
Yeah.
really super important to like definitely have somebody that kind of supports you with this. It's a lifestyle, man. I keep on saying it.
Yeah.
It's not
It
even a
is.
hobby. It's a lifestyle. We're up at night
Yeah.
till 2 o'clock in the morning. The dog's barking. The wife just wants to go to bed, and she got to work it the next morning. And you know what? And they still support you. So I mean, it's
Yeah.
really, really super important.
Well, you know, we're all on this little tiny speck of dust in the middle of infinity for all practical purposes. And to us and our ability to travel through space, we're, you know, whether you believe it's infinite or not, it might as well be to us, right? So, and you're out here and you're imaging this, you're in this little dust ball, and you're out here imaging this gigantic universe that we're all in. We all live in it. We're all affected by it, and a great number of us don't even realize it, and but yet we relegate it down to the word hobby. And I wish we could all come together as a community and try to figure out, is there something else we could call it other than a hobby? Because
I
stamps are
agree.
a hobby and RCs are a hobby, but we're imaging all this stuff out there that could just wipe us out immediately. And we're taking beautiful pictures of chaos, right? I mean, you look at all the nebulas; those things are they're
Yeah.
just death to us. And but we call it a hobby. I don't know. I just always thought that was kind of weird. You know, it
Yeah,
needs
No,
it needs
and
a
like
different name.
to Dan's
definitely
point,
more than a hobby,
a
man.
Yeah.
yeah, it being a lifestyle and everything.
Yeah.
And you try to explain, sometimes when you try to explain, like I've explained this to my kids, when they were younger, they were so gung ho about it. They were just super into it. Now they're both teenagers and they're just like,
Now you're an
they're
idiot.
just back on, they're just back on YouTube or or doing
Yeah.
something else.
Playing
But
Roblox.
yeah,
Yeah.
playing Roblox or something. But when you
Yeah.
try to explain, it's like, do you realize that the light that hit this could be like millions of years old?
Well,
Mhm.
This
did you
light
Yeah.
see that
old.
there's renewed conversation about Betelgeuse going supernova again?
Oh yeah.
There's
Yeah.
there's renewed because a couple years back they were concerned about the dimming and all that kind of stuff, and now there's renewed conversation. They're saying, oh, it could, but it's the same thing. They don't know how long it's going to take for it to burn
No.
off everything, and it could be
Who
it
knows?
could be
It's probably already
tomorrow.
done
It could be in 80 years.
Yeah.
We don't know. How long were people waiting in M101 for that thing to go supernova? I mean, who knows?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that M101 supernova stole our thunder. I don't know if you guys saw that, but we did a collaboration, and we did 94 hours, me and two other astrophotographers, and we actually captured a huge ionized oxygen bubble that's beside M101. and you only got it in oxygen, a little bit in hydrogen. And I actually had to go, I reached out to Marcel Drescher. I guess he works with Bray Falls, and they do a lot of these new discoveries. And it has been imaged by the Hubble, but I cannot find any other image, amateur image, that's ever taken a picture of it.
Huh.
And we posted that out, and it's not huge. There is another huge off, like you have the like tail of M101, kind of close on the same side where the supernova was. There is a gigantic oxygen burst in there that's just huge, and you really don't pick it up until you shoot a decent amount of oxygen on that galaxy. And we did. We shot. I shot close to. I had to shoot all the narrowband because I'm in brighter skies.
Right.
But we were like working on this and processing this image. Sometimes there's a part of me that wants to put this out for the community to process, because it was extremely difficult. I mean, I had 30 hours of HA, 40 hours of oxygen. We had about 30 hours of luminance, and then the RGB, trying to separate out the RGB channels, put the oxygen in where it needed to be, put the HA into the red channel. I actually had to come up with a way to put the HA and oxygen in the luminance, because if I didn't do that, the luminance would mute it. And so I was able to put that HA data in the luminance, and then try to get all that processed without blowing it out. And one of the keys that really helped me with that was GHS. I don't think I could have pulled off that image without that new stretching technique that's in the scripts for PixInsight, because the ability to really tone that down and control that brightness with that stretching, the hyperbolic stretching process, was amazing. And it was really the key. But yeah, we're all gung ho to post this thing out, and then the next thing, there's a supernova, and everybody's taking a freaking picture of supernovas. And I was like, damn it, we're like 2 weeks late. But I let some of that subside.
Where that's posted, because people are asking.
Yeah, I'll definitely put that link out. I mean, obviously it's on my Instagram, it's at Entering in Space. We posted out there, and then tag the two other collaborators, Tommy Leitz and Mark Carter. And they're out in Colorado and Kansas City, actually. So we just decided, and it kind of was spurred on when the guys did that really cool image of M31 and found all that extra oxygen signal in there. And we're like, well, and I don't know if you guys ever have done it, but if you go into Stellarium and you turn on the DSS surveys, DSS red shows you all the hydrogen, which is a game changer, but DSS blue will start to show you some of the oxygen signal. And you will start to see like that, they call it the fish on the platter nebula, the WR134 star.
Yeah, the dolphin.
Yeah, well, you won't see it in Stellarium under hardly any circumstances. You just know it's there. But if you turn the DSS blue survey on, you'll start to see the outline of that dolphin. Or the SAR calls it a fish on a platter. They got weird names for stuff on that little box.
Fish on a platter.
Yeah.
Damn wet markets.
Yeah. But if you out there, if you guys are shooting stuff, put that oxygen filter on, man, and fire away, because there is new discoveries to be made. They're proving that constantly now, especially these galaxies. I think they have structure that none of us have ever seen before. And we, even though the Hubble did image that there was a ring of ionized oxygen gas, even though they did this, but it does not have an NGC designation at all. So I don't know if they're going to apply one or not, but it was just cool to do,
Get that.
Now, did you start when you started doing your processing? Did you just jump right into PixInsight, or did you start with something else first, like Photoshop, Deep Sky Stacker?
Yeah, I was Deep Sky Stacker in GIMP, actually, when I very first started. Because I was kind of one of those guys where, like, let me look for the free version to see if I even like this first. But I do that across the board. It's a bad trait. And then I was like, man, I bought the bullet on Photoshop, and I actually started doing tutorials on Photoshop. And when somebody came across and said, hey, use PixInsight, and I tried it, and like I was telling Sean, the STF will scare you away, because if you stretch an image with that automatic, and you look at it, you're going to go, and then you drag the little triangle over to no man's land, and then you drag it back over here to some other area that doesn't have a receptacle, and then you get your final image. And I was like, this looks like garbage. and then I just go running back to Photoshop every time. And I didn't really, I didn't know you could manually stretch. I just saw YouTube videos that were rapid fire, and it really took me a lot to really understand. And I tell you, the guy that made it click for me, his name is Richard Bloch on YouTube.
Yep.
Had a really short video on processing M101, and it just all of a sudden it just made sense. And then it was like, man, I got to process everything, with this. And I know Sean said he's sacred to PixInsight. I still kind of go back to Photoshop a little bit for some star reduction, and sometimes I use it to put my stars back in. Sometimes I don't. And sometimes I don't. I stay all in PixInsight. But I can tell you now, after using it and doing tutorials on it, I would highly recommend. I can't. It's not even highly. It's not even the word. It's like, get it. If you're going to do this hobby, get it.
Yeah.
Photoshop's great, and people can use it, but to me, it is, like I said, it's kind of organic. It's not as mathematical, but at the same time, I feel like when you take that image down to 16 bits, you lose something there. You lose some detail, you lose some resolution. You start to oversaturate some images real quick with Photoshop, so you just got to be careful. But as far as PixInsight is concerned, the only thing in PixInsight, there's two things. I like Photoshop. I like to be able to know where my background values are. I've just got more accustomed to knowing those values by setting a sample point. And especially when I'm going to post it out, I know if it's this number, then it's pretty much going to look this way when I put it on Instagram. So I use those values just to kind of check myself. And then, with PixInsight too, there is some fuzziness that I gather in images, some haze that I really, there's local histogram can kind of get around, but I still like that what is it called? It's in the camera raw. There's like a dehaze tool that will kind of take some of that out if you can't get it out in PixInsight. There's just a few little tools or tweaks that I use in Photoshop,
Okay.
but for the most part, PixInsight is the thing to have if you really are serious. And that's the thing too. It gets me when I see people that have $20,000 rigs and their image looks atrocious. I'm sorry. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. And, it's because it's like they've overstretched it. They've clipped it. And we've all been guilty. I can tell you, I have turned my stars into dumbbells because I've used so much noise reduction. I've done it. I admit it. I feel like I'm in the AA, or whatever. I'm Steve. I use too much noise reduction.
Oh, I've cooked them. Same.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And sometimes I still have, and it's crazy. I still have everything I've ever done. I have it on a hard drive, and I don't know why I keep it, but because it looks terrible.
Oh, we all keep our garbage. We all do. And, we're hoping someday they're going to come out. I mean, and it's almost there. Russ is going to come out with this button. He's going to come out with the crappy picture, turn it into APOD, and it'll look wonderful. It'll look right like Hubble.
Crap exterminator. That's what he does.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's definitely, and he's really advanced. He, like we were talking before, there was things that in processing that I come across or techniques that I come across that I go, yeah, that's nice. And it has changed. But then there's some that just blow you away. And you just want to go back. There's just no more exciting feeling than going, man, I just want to go back through everything. And, Blur Exterminator was a big one. For me, WBPP was a big one.
Yep.
I just felt like I got much better image integration with that tool. The star removal, being able to pull the stars out and just process your nebula, and then screen your stars back in was huge.
Yep.
And sometimes it's like I take the stars out and then I like, man, this is amazing. You see so much nebulosity. You put the stars back in, you're like, ugh.
Leave the stars out. Don't you?
Yeah. So I go to great lengths to do a lot of stuff to really mitigate the stars. And it's weird because you go outside, the first thing you want to see is stars. You look at your autofocus, you want to see your HFR, and that's stars. You want to see, you don't want to see star trailing. So you're looking at those stars as you're taking a sub, and then you get into processing, and the first thing you do is get rid of them all. And get out of
Yep.
here. You love them until
We
you
didn't
get
like you anyway.
Yeah.
We were just fooling you. But
Yep.
but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay, have a few specks here and there, but besides that, no, get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm going through a thing now where it's like I have processing videos and people tell me, "Oh my gosh, I wish I could have my image look like yours." And that's a great compliment. But I'm in this place right now where I look at what I'm doing and I go, "It can be better." I don't know what that is yet, but I look at some other stuff and I'm like, I want to get there. So I'm still at that point where I go, I'm not satisfied. And I don't know. I don't think you ever should get to that point where you go, "This is my workflow and it's never going to change,"
Yeah.
because it's constantly evolving. But I think that's what you got to do. I mean, personally.
I just want to get data. I don't, I haven't got a full project of data in months, and it's just, and part is just life, and part is just, damn, just too freaking tired to bring the telescope out. And I think I'm finally going to get if I could only chop down these darn telephone lines, I'd be okay. But it's pretty rough because half my sky is gone because of telephone line. Not because I can't see it. The telephone lines are just so close to the telescope. It's horrible. It's horrible. But
what's some of your longest images that you guys have done or projects? You guys got any records?
I got the Heart Nebula that's in the backdrop to this picture right here.
Yeah.
That's about 30 hours.
Cool.
That's about 30 hours. I most of my narrowband stuff, I don't even start looking at it till like 15 to 20. That's normal. I mean, but because New York skies are so bad, this photo is only 30 hours or so. I think it's like 29.2 hours. I don't think it hit 30, but that took about 4 months to shoot.
Oh, wow.
It took the whole thing. It was supposed to be a Valentine's Day present for my wife. And it turned out
you're going to print it.
Oh no, I got it. It's on a metal print. I found a little saying, made it a little mushy.
Oh boy,
the whole
you're romantic.
I did the whole thing.
Stop it.
I know. but I did the whole thing, and but it was her birthday is in actually it was supposed to be Valentine's Day in February. I was supposed to be finished with it, and it didn't get finished till like our anniversary in April.
Oh wow.
So between,
that was worth it.
Well, between putting it all together, and actually I gotta say I did this process was with Ron Breacher helped me out with this this actual me and him did it together kind of to make sure it wasn't all screwed up, but but all the data acquisition was mine and everything, but sending it back and forth to the printer a couple times, sometimes it didn't just come, it came out too dark, it came out too saturated and whatever. Kept on sending it back and finally did a metal print and it came out fine. But
that's the way I use art piece. Yeah.
No, I was just saying, my longest was 32, and that was the Onion Nebula that Pete recommended me, to go forward and do, because that was a challenge because it is very faint. It is a very faint target, but it turned out really, really well, with the oxygen and the O3. But that was my longest, was 32, and so it's almost going to be like, okay, how much further can I go? How much further can I break, 40 hours and get to 48, something like that.
But the whole thing is that you're never going to know if you're at that limit until you get there. You know what I mean? So you're never going to know how much is too much until you actually shoot too much. And, that may sound stupid, but it's true. But, if you sit there and say, okay, you know what? All of my data comes from the first 20 hours and everything after 20 hours is kind of like, oh, okay, I get a little bit out of it, but is it worth the extra time to go 20 to 25, or there'll be a big difference between 20 to 40, you know, but will the, you know, where's that law of diminishing returns? Where does that enter into effect at your seeing? So, because you're at the mercy of that.
And that's the analogy I use when people are asking me who don't do this hobby. They say, well, what do you mean you take a whole bunch of pictures? And I say, imagine if I had a puzzle and it had 1,000 pieces and every piece had a number. And I took that whole puzzle and I just threw it at you. You stuck your hands out and you just caught as many pieces as you get. And you put them down on the table and you started to put them together. And maybe out of that 1,000, you got 20 of those pieces. You know, you got 99 and 57 and 102. And then I said, okay, let me throw that puzzle at you again. How many times did I have to throw that puzzle at you before you could complete the puzzle? How many times could you reach your hands out and catch those pieces and then actually make, and let's say I threw that puzzle at you 1,000 times and you made the puzzle and you could say, oh yeah, it's a picture of a Christmas tree or whatever.
Right.
I can kind of see it. That's astrophotography. And so I don't think you could throw that puzzle enough to, I mean, what are the odds that you would actually end up catching all 1,000 pieces and actually put that puzzle together? I mean, how many times do I have to throw a puzzle at you? A bunch.
Yeah.
Right? So that's
a great analogy.
yeah.
That's a great
If you
analogy.
look at if you look at like I've just shot the Lagoon, a wide field without the Trifid Nebula, and I'm actually got my 3 images behind this screen right now, and I've got 27 hours of total data. And so, but especially with HA, after 10 hours of HA and now 15 hours of HA, I can zoom in and really see the difference. I can see the pixelation disappear. And I think that's where it's at. Now, once you zoom back out, you start to lose that resolution. If you're shooting, you know, longer focal lengths, I think you can really start to see that difference. And you need to put that hours on. But man, I mean, once you post an image that's, you know, 4,000 pixels by 6,000 pixels, it's really hard, especially once you compress it in YouTube land or in Facebook land. It's really hard to resolve some of that stuff until you do like a metal print. So that's another thing. It's like, okay, well, you just spent 60 hours on a target. What are you going to do with it? You know, you're the dog chasing the car. Now, you just caught it. Now, what are you going to do with it? So, yeah, what are you going to do with all that data? You know, you can appreciate it on your screen, but how are you going to represent that to somebody else? I mean, is it worth that time, or can you go shoot another target and get rid of target fever? That's what we all have starting out, you know.
And that was one of the things. That was one of the things that we had talked about just last week, was with SharpCap and the sensor analysis and the smart histogram, was figuring out, you know, with SharpCap, how long should your exposures be, and how many do you really need to take before you get to that point of diminishing returns and things like that. And what we were saying was, and what I said when I did the video for it is, you have to take this with a grain of salt, you know, and use it maybe as a guideline, because you can just, if you want to keep going, keep going. If you don't think it's enough, all right, you just wait for, you know, another new moon or another time, you know, another week where you have some clear nights, and just go right back at it again. So yeah, totally. I get it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So well, it's about that time, fellas. It's like I think we kind of I think Pete dropped off. I think he was he looked exhausted. I don't know. I hope everything's okay. He looked really tired.
Yeah, he did. He looked so tired.
But metal printing, I use in the US. I use Bay Photo.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know I don't know what you use. Who do you use for printing?
Heartbeats.
Heartbeats.
Artbeat Studio. They've been telling me they're going to have a storefront, which would be really nice, but they just haven't developed that yet. But I have not been. I've actually sold images I've never seen. I've processed them, sent them to Artbeats, and never saw what they look like, but have got people raving about them. I've got 2. And they're pretty cool because they come with a floating mount and they come with a little bubble level. So you put that, so it looks like the image actually sets off the wall. But you're talking, you know, an 18 by 24 is like $250, so something like that. So they're not cheap, but man, they're beautiful.
Well, there you go. Artbeat. There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
Did that shop. All right. So we do So we do have one. Do we have no? There's no giveaways tonight. There's Friday night is the giveaway.
Friday night's a giveaway.
Yeah, Masters of Pix Insight. But Steve, thanks so much for coming down and hanging out for us, and thanks Sean for dragging you along. You know, and you know, coming on the show, and so it's really great to have other people that do this on and share what you do, and you know, your channel's great. Everybody, if you haven't subscribed by now, go subscribe. Even though he won't say it, I will. Go subscribe, go like, hit the bell. He's got good content. Go check it out and Hulk smash all of his videos.
Yeah,
so
Hulk smash. I still try to respond to every message that I get. I tell people funnily, like, I want to get so popular that I just don't even have time to respond to people's messages anymore, but I'm not there yet. I still try to, and sometimes I miss them and I'm a month late, but I'll get to you. I promise. Yeah, because it means a lot. It really does. So
comments are great. You know, all the feedback that you get is great when you're doing this stuff, because even the bad stuff, because only the bad stuff makes you better. So that's it. But
if you don't have haters, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, doing this type of stuff, you know, and hearing the compliments and how we help people out or touch, you know, people's lives, and just doing, you know, what we do and just being goofballs. It's nice. It's kind of cool.
It's really cool. Yeah, this has been fun, guys. I super appreciate it.
Yeah, man. You're more than welcome to come back whenever you want to. If you got, you know, take another 350-hour photo that you want to share, you know, then you know, hey, listen, you know, we're at your disposal. So you definitely have an open.
Yeah, we'd love to have you on Astropalooza. You know, if we.
There you go. Yeah, we got to start building that guest list. Oh, you don't know what that is? Oh, you missed it.
Yeah, clue me in.
So Astropalooza last year, I put together, I think it was 15.
It's like 15 or 16 hours.
No, it wasn't 15. God, 15 to 16 hours, I would have shot myself.
No. Was it? No, you're right. It's only 12. I thought because we broke it. I thought for some reason
it was 10. It was 10. You only think it was 15 because you were late. But
okay.
I'm just playing. Eric was there for almost the whole thing. It started at 10 o'clock in the morning and ended just a little bit after 11 at night. So it was about 13 hours. And it was just a full day of basically everybody coming on and doing a presentation. From Sean was on with what was it, Skyshed, Wayne Parker.
Wayne Parker. Yeah.
So he was on Wayne, and then we had Amy Astro, we had Molly Wakeling, we had Dr. Sass, Charles Bracken, Nico Carver, all the Masters of Pix Insight were on. I know I'm going to be missing some people. Two of our members actually did talks, Josh Kovacs and Ernie. So I know I'm missing other people. So if I am and you're listening, I apologize. It was just so long of a day, but it was all in one day from like 10 to Adam Block was on. Yeah, he did a video for us. He couldn't be there for the show, but he wanted to be a part, so he made a video for us. So he was on. It was fun. It was a lot of fun, and we just literally started talking, and 13 hours later, I go and get my whiskey and do a shot off camera. So, you know, that's it.
Well, I've been having mine while we pontificate. So.
There it is.
I usually do too, but I got a lot of work tomorrow, and I can't do it. I can't.
It'll be fine. Everybody will be fine.
Everybody will be fine. But hey, listen, what we normally do at the end, we do final thoughts. We just do a round robin of final thoughts. So Eric, we'll start with you and we'll end up with Steve. So
no, again, Steve, you know, thank you for coming on and hanging out. Sean, thank you for, you know, you as well, hanging out with us and bringing Steve with you. And, you know, it's great meeting you and getting to hang out with all of you guys. So another fun Wednesday. And, Yeah, I'm tired. I'm gonna go to bed too.
Talk to me, Goose. Talk to me.
I like that. I like that shirt. I like that shirt. Where'd you get that shirt?
My wife got it for me for Father's Day, I think last year, or like either last year or 2 years ago. No, yeah, when Maverick came out, when Top Gun Maverick came out, she got it for me so we can go see it because it's my favorite movie. So
Yeah,
wow,
cool.
that's awesome. Great,
nice. Sean,
final thought. I do one-on-one Pix Insight training.
Yeah, hey, Sean, I'm about to come see you.
Do?
Yeah,
Wow.
I don't know.
I was not
You
aware.
gotta teach me how to do manual stretch.
Yeah, I know. I was. Oh, that was just so
that,
painful watching you.
that really was painful. I was like, oh my god, just hit the slider. Oh my god.
Just take that middle slider and move it to the left. That's all you gotta do.
Slider and move it.
But he's everywhere
See,
else.
And I'm watching the top. Yeah. I'm watching the top histogram go all the way over to like 50%. I was like, this is not going to be good.
See what? What he doesn't realize is he was actually working Pix and Sights because we were all watching him while he did it.
Well, you got to remember what Eric originally bought Pix Insight for.
I don't know. You can tell me about that.
Eric spent a year with Pix Insight just to blink his photos.
Oh,
well, I remember that. Yes.
Yeah, just for blink. Just for blink.
You know, I was going to say CE. I would have got that wrong.
No, listen, Eric does a great job in doing his processes, and he does if you take a look at his AstroBin stuff on was it Blade 71, I think it is, right?
Yeah, Blade 71.
Go check it out.
I use APP primarily. That's what I started out with.
And no matter what, Eric's got more data than I do over the past 6 months, so I can't really say anything. So
I've got like 3 more to process, just from this past month.
Yeah, well, not now. I'm at the point where Steve was talking about. I think my astrophysics scope is done. I'm not touching it. I'm not touching it. It's done. I got the flat panel. And I'm finished. Yeah. I'm not touching it. That's the way it's going to be until I retire. That's it. I'm done.
Yeah.
Until
I get a mechanical rotator.
Yeah. There you go.
I still have to do my little APP, processing bit. Maybe I'll do that on Friday or something, doing newbies.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All right, cool. And then hey, listen, again, Steve, thanks so much. And when I hit off, it actually stays on. So if you want to recap or chill out for a couple minutes after, you're more than welcome. But, and whoever was talking about that Giotto, man, go to Astroworld Telescopes and go buy one. There you go. That's my shameless plug.
Yeah, English Fires. Yeah. Sure.
Shameless plug right there. Oh, well, he ain't going to buy it from me. He's from the UK. But, he's not going to pay that shipping charge, but I'm just kidding. but everybody, have a good night. Eric, Sean, Steve, thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with us. Pete, miss you. I hope everything's okay. But everybody have a good night. We'll be back. I 99.9% chance we're going to have a show Friday night because I don't think I'm going to Cherry Springs. So, it's almost a definite no at this point. But it's just a matter of canceling the hotel. But
if I could say one more last thing.
Yeah, go.
I don't know if you guys know this, but Sean does one-on-one Pix Insight training tutorials.
And Sean,
I'm here for you, buddy.
You know what? You may get one extra custom on it, but I'll throw a link on the website for you.
There you go.
For your classes.
That's great.
I don't know if you guys know this, but I do Pix Insight training for free.
He's trying to ruin the market.
Undercut you.
Yeah. All you got to do is like and subscribe. That's all you got to do.
And I will read the Fighting Marines comic book for you while you go to sleep for nothing.
Wow.
I don't know.
That won't take long.
I just picked. No, this ain't even coming out of the plastic. This is old.
Oh
But
my
anyway,
gosh.
everybody, have a good night. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see everybody again on Friday night. Steve, again, thank you again. Sean,
Yeah.
as well. Eric, I'll see you. I'll talk to you tomorrow because we got to talk. but
Yeah.
yeah. but all right, everybody, have a good night. See you on Friday night. Remember, as always, keep imaging, keep educating, and clear skies. And we'll see you Friday night. Have a good night, everybody. Bye bye.
Hulk, smash that like button.
Get out.